You ever go to a hotel with a lot of Jews, and the person you call for a late checkout, which is a classic Jewish move, and the person's like, the only people called from this all. The non-Jews have no clue about a late checkout. The Jews, can I stay till 2? Is it possible till 2? Just, And if you get till 2, it means you have till 3. So basically you're there in like 2 days. Also, this whole thing with an extra hour is a big myth, because if you have a baby, they don't understand the extra hour. So what's this whole, like, everyone's like, oh, extra hohour. We were up already for a while. What? Didn't make any sense, extra hour. I remember one time, we didn't have cell phones back then. One of my yeshivish friends, they called my parents, my house. It was Motzei Shabbos, this was a Shabbos, probably like 1 o'clock. So my parents were sleeping, like, and the guy's like, yeah, but they're changing the clock. It's really 12 o'clock, when I mean, you can turn. Okay, the reason I'm talking about the first bracha of avos is because it's the gate to this week's parsha. Why? Anyone saw that Rashi at the beginning of the parsha? The pasuk says, Hashem tells Avram, I'm going to bless you, make your name great. And the first one was, V'eschol Gagadol, make you into a great nation. And Rashi says, it's actually Gemara in Pesachim, that this that we say in davening Elokei Avraham is because Hashem told him, I'm going to make you into a great nation. That's why we say it in davening Elokei Avraham. What does that mean? So the Sisacham explains this Rashi, that generally, Ellie, we know how nervous we were. People are. You can take a Danish. Everyone, don't. Full spread. Okay. Everyone take I don't want everyone to wait. People are hungry.
The sponsor is Hashikats.
I want to say it loud. You can say it loud.
Hashikats Nunishmas Sheva Bas Avram Elimelech.
Thank you very much, Heshi Katz.
Cheers over?
Probably, yeah.
5-minute break. Recess.
What?
It's the live.
We're live. This is the problem going live, by the way. Well, some of our the food has to go live.
Yeah, actually.
Thank you, Ellie, for always getting the food on Sundays. Should be it's a schus for you and your family. So I'm just continue eating and doing your thing. I am just continuing on here. Generally, Hashem does not say His name unless you're on a nation, right? He only says Elokei Yisrael, Elokei Ivrim. He doesn't say Elokei on the individual, Elokei Avraham. It's not done. So Hashem told Avram, I'm going to make you into a great nation. Chazal darshan from this, that you're so great like a nation, I'm going to say Elokei Avraham. That's very special. And not only that, Va'avarecha, I'm going to give you a bracha, that I'm going to say it on your son as well, Elokei Yitzchak. And not only that, but God L'shmecha, make your name great. Even your grandson Yaakov, I am going to call you're going to be called Elokei I'm going to be called Elokei Avram, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. And that's something that's very special that we do, and we actually say in the first bracha. You're going to say that maybe we should end off the bracha Magen Avram Yitzchak v'Yaakov. No, we're only going to end off with you Vayei bracha and say Magen Avraham. We're not going to say Yitzchak and Yaakov. So that's the Rashi, and that's a famous thing. Big question is, there's a rule, and we pass it like this. Gemara and brachas, like Rabbi Yechanan. Any bracha that doesn't have Shem u'Malchus, you have to say Hashem's name and Melech Ha'elam. If you don't say those words in a bracha, it's not a bracha. It's not a bracha. So where's the Melech Ha'elam in the first bracha of shmoneh esrei? We all know shmoneh esrei, Baruch Atah Elokei Avraham Elokei Yitzchak Elokei Yaakov. Where's the Melech Ha'elam? You have to say Malchus. So the Rishonim deal with this, and Tosfos has a beautiful answer. Tosfos says in brachas that because Avram was the first one to be Mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu on the entire world, he told everyone about Hashem and really made him into a Melech in this world. Recognize him as a Melech. Obviously, he's always a Melech. So because of that, when we say Elokei Avraham, that's like saying Melech Ha'elam. Okay, interesting thing. That's what Tosfos says. Why do we say Elokeinu v'Elokei Avoseinu? Really starts off Elokei Avoseinu, Elokeinu, right? Our fathers came before us. Why does it say Elokeinu, our God, Elokei Avoseinu, and our father's God? Why is it in that order? So the Balei Iyim Tefillah and other Tefillas from the answer that we start with what we see first. Let's talk about us. It's our Elokeinu. Then let's talk about recognizing that it started from way back, Elokei Avosenu. But don't look at what's closest, what we see, he is our Elokeinu. So just a few things about the bracha. Now I want to get into the halacha, which I don't think a lot of people know about, and I think it might shock you. Okay? It's brought down, it's based on Gemaras, based on Rishonim, and I'm reading it to in the Shulchan Aruch. Hamispal, somebody that davens, tzorch sheyichavim b'chol habrachos, you really need to have kavana by the entire shmoneh esrei. Kavana is very hard. If you struggle with kavana, you are from the many, many people that struggle with it. It is very hard. Not only that, Mishabu himself talks about very hard to have kavana nowadays. Hard. Rishonim talk about it. So if you struggle with it, this has been a constant struggle for years and years and years, and it's something that you have to work on a little bit at a time. But in halacha, you're supposed to try to have kavana for every single bracha of shmoneh esrei, and the Rishonim speak out. If you can't, try to have by the last words. People don't know this. If you just have Baruch Atah Hashem Chaynin Adoas, that's great. Forget about the Adonai even as much. They say this. If you have in mind by the Baruch Atah Hashem Chaynin Adoas, Baruch Hashem God Yisrael, Baruch Atah, those parts, that is the main part. So it's something to think about if you can't have kavanah for the whole thing. But let's say a person, he's out of it, he can't have kavanah, he's not even trying. Says the Shulchan Aruch, if you can't be mechavim by all of them, lefachas, at the very least, yichavim ba'avos. Have kavanah by avos, the first bracha of shmoneh esrei. Vimloi, if you don't have kavanah by avos, says the Mechaber, even though you had kavanah by all the other brachas, you have to daven shmoneh esrei again. Shulchan Aruch says, and it's based on the Gemara, and this is technically the halacha. If you don't have kavanah by avos, you're not yotze your shmoneh esrei. Very scary. That's the only bracha. Some say moedim as well, but that's a chumrah. But avos needs to have kavanah.
What's the kavanah?
The kavanah is very good. Mishabura speaks out. Pirish hamilas. Just understanding what the words mean and nothing crazy. Just melech, king, oizer, who protects. He helps. Umeshia, he saves. Umagin, he's a shield. Basic translation. Nothing deep. And have in mind what you're saying. And if you don't, you're not yetzer.
Aren't you allowed to daven in your words, like English, basically? Isn't there
There is halacha. You're allowed to daven in English if that's the only language you know.
It's not the only language I know, but that's the only language I know for sure that if I do it like that,
You are allowed to. You are allowed to technically in halacha. They talk about that's much better lashon hakodesh. But technically, if you want to daven in English and you understand it well, the English, it means by English, it's very dangerous about English. If you want to daven in English, you have to know what you're saying. You have to really have kavanah more. Then you can't just space out into English. But by Hebrew, you could more. Not the first bracha of shmoneh esrei, but in general.
Well, the thing is, if you do, let's say, like Hebrew, and you want to have in mind the thing, so you're doing it and then you can't really read underneath the thing. But if I'm reading just English, then I have much more in mind, possibly.
So we could talk about it more, but if you want it better for you to daven in English, you should daven in English. Serious. I told you a story. I was in shul, and it was the Avodah of Yom Kippur, like that whole long thing. Everyone just ripping through it. This guy, not in this shul, different shul was in. He read it out loud in English. And the Kohen went into the sacrifice to alter the thing, and he mixed the bloods and he congealed. While the Kohen was sacrificing the other lamb, they did the lottery. And as they did the lottery, they took the goat to the Azazel and did the red strip. He read it in English loud. And everyone's like, they laughing. The guy is right. He's 100, they're just piyutim. He said in English, understood what he was saying. Everyone else just wishing they could be him, as they're reading it. Because when is this over? At the end of the day, that's what we understand. But if you don't, back to avos, if you don't have in mind, but avos you're not yetzer, comes along the Ramah and says, let's say you don't, you messed up, and you finish from esrei. Says the Ramah, nowadays, this is a sad thing. Says the Ramah, ein chayzim b'shul chesed kavanah. If you mess up, you don't have kavanah, don't say shmoneh esrei again. Why not? Sad. He says, sha'af b'chazara karvu shlo yechavin. Even if you daven again, it's a good chance you're not going to have kavanah. Im kein lama yachzer. Okay, it comes from the Torah, actually. It's not the Ramah, it's the Torah. Why would you say it over again? It's a very sad line. I never saw such a thing in Ramah or halacha. It's sad. Don't say it again. So halacha, if you taka mess up, don't say shmoneh esrei again. Don't. But you should just realize that it's really, really important. But something to know as well. Let's say you're in the middle of avos, and you haven't said yet Magen Avram, you didn't say the Baruch Atah Hashem part, and you're like, I did not have kavanah. Go back. Start again. Elokei Avraham. It's go back. Even in itself, it's like missing Yav Yavai. So go back to Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Say it again with kavanah.
Have in mind. You can't just think the whole bracha.
So very good. So some people say that even if you finish the bracha, you could think about the bracha afterwards. There is such a shita.
I
Yes.
think the last part of the bracha, anyways.
So not by avos. By avos, you need to have gone for the whole thing. You're right. But the other bracha is just the end is the most important part. But by avos, the whole thing, every word needs to have kavanah.
It's safe to assume that pretty much half the world that was never Yosef Shmoneh.
So some people say,
It's a half. You have.
some people say that you missed out on like maybe tefillah, but kavanah, but you got some sort of tefillah. So you don't have to be like, it's the worst thing. You did get something. You got something, and kavanah is very hard. It's very hard. Why? Why is avos so important? Relax. Why is avos so important? Maybe other brachas. So they bring down. The Shavua says this. Imagine you come to a king, right? You have a meeting with the Melech Malchei HaBaruch Hu. You come to him, and you're just starting your conversation. And when you start your conversation, you talk about the praise of Hashem, right? You say, Hashem, you're great, you're amazing, you're awesome. We're not asking for anything in the first bracha. There's no requests. Just saying nice praises to Hashem. And at that second, you're not even thinking about it. Not even thinking about it. Imagine trying to get into a school. Everyone's dying to get into schools there, right? You walk into school. By the way, the best thing, you want to get into a school, it helps. Again, now it's impossible. It actually is impossible, but maybe you walk into the principal and you say, like, this school is amazing. I'm looking around. I never saw it. Try to see if he has any pictures of anything.